Good morning. It's November 11th. Excuse me. It's November 12th, Saturday, 2022. It's about quarter after 8 in the morning, and I have a daily workout that I had been doing that was pretty rigorous. I went on some meds for the issues that I have, the health issues that I have, and those meds have made it really difficult to work out. I don't feel like doing all those push-ups and sit-ups. Very difficult. Even the walking is more difficult. So that's my status. It's like I have a convenient excuse now not to have to exercise in the morning. But I'm also trying to do intermittent fasting, and according to Dr. Eric Berg, and I know it's the right thing to do, and I'm trying to eliminate sugar from my diet. I know it's the right thing to do. Wow, is that hard? You live your whole life consuming food in a certain way and certain types of food, and also exercising. I've exercised pretty much my entire life. And now with the meds that I have a blood disease. I have leukemia, and the chemotherapy that I took caused some some unexpected, unforeseen problems, and the oncologist screwed up. Let's put it that way. He definitely screwed up. Gotta live with that though. So I wanted to speak briefly about the economic state of affairs in our country and the world. It's like chaotic. It's like a scramble looking for an answer, looking for solutions, and people are coming up empty-handed. There may not be a solution. As Mike Maloney would say, the gold and silver guy, silver and gold guy, and I recommend you watch his Hidden Secrets of Money, the 7 episodes. It's a lot, but man, it educated me more about money and the economy than any other thing that I encountered or any other person that I encountered in my life. It's the Mike Maloney YouTube series, 7 Hidden Secrets of Money. And I watched when I wanted to understand why I was so wrong about investing sometimes, and then really what I wanted to know was how does the Federal Reserve, this is such a fraud. This Federal Reserve is this bank, and they're not connected to the federal government. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. Yes, they are. They are. Okay. They say they aren't, but they absolutely are. They're incestuous, and I've said this in several videos. It's incest between the Federal Reserve and our government. So let's just go back to 08 and 09 for a second. Okay, the banks, the investment banks, Goldman's, Bear Stearns, Merrill, of course, the Lehman Brothers. They all. I'm not going to go over how they screwed up. Man, they screwed the pooch. They put them in a category. The category is the bottom of the barrel, but they're at the top. And they bankrupted our country. Okay, that's what they did. They just went out in the name of greed. They bankrupted our country. They didn't care. Believe me, they don't care. If you believe anything, believe that when companies or banks say they care about you, you know they're lying. You know they're lying. They don't care about you. They care about what they can, many times, what they can steal. And that was theft on a level that is just unthinkable, what happened in 08 and 09. So what happened? The banks screwed up. They were selling these monstrous things called MBS, mortgage-backed securities, and things that are built on top of them too, CDOs, credit default options or something like that. CDO is, well, it's the acronym CDO, but that's another form of mortgage-backed security that's even worse, more toxic. So they collapsed, and unprecedented event that not many people talk about is the collapse of the money market. Now, the money market was the safest place you could put your dollars. That if you deposited $100 into a bank, they'd put it immediately into a money market. That was going down in 08 and 09. So at the behest of the Secretary of the Treasury, I can't remember his name, Paul somebody, under George W. Bush, he had to transition all this to the new administration, the Obama administration. Funny story about him getting down on his knees in front of Nancy Pelosi and begging her for a buyout, for a bailout. So yeah, so the Federal Reserve stepped in, excuse me, and wrote a check for like $3 trillion to buy all these security treasury notes from the federal government to prop up the economy. That money goes to the banks, you know, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all these banks, and then they take that money and they make more money off loaning that out or doing whatever they wanted with it. To keep the one bank they decided not to bail out was Lehman Brothers, and they went. And if you had money in Lehman Brothers, if you had money in, you know, with them, they're investing it for you. It's gone. It's gone. I don't know if the FDIC insurance would pick up $250,000 of that loss. That's the FDIC. So if you deposit your money in a local bank and they go bust, you know, the guy, the CEO takes all the money and heads for the Bahamas, like this guy from FTX did, Sam Bankman-Fried. Boy, apparently there's 130 companies, 130 companies that he's holding money for, and that money is gone. Anyway, the Federal Reserve is not going to bail out a crypto exchange like FTX. They'll bail out the banks because, hey, they're in the family. You know, it's incest, and that's the difference. That's the main difference between these crypto exchanges that are collapsing and the banks that collapsed in 08 and 09. The only difference is one's crypto, the other one's the dollar. And let me tell you something: if you're banking on the dollar holding its value, you can kiss that dream goodbye, because the value of the dollar. I don't know if you notice it, but the Dixie, which is the index that compares the dollar with all the other paper currencies in the world, the dollar's heading down. You can't print. So just to really refresh and quickly review what the Fed did in 08, 09, they sat down in front of their computer and they opened their bank account. And the balance on the account is zero. And they write a check for $3 trillion, you know, and at that time it was Ben Bernanke, who was like, how do you describe him? The biggest know-it-all that didn't know anything that ever existed. Try reading one of his books, you'll see what I mean. Anyway, so Ben Bernanke, who was the guy? It was Janet Yellen, maybe? I forget who came after Ben Bernanke, but I think it was Bernanke. Sits down in front of his computer at the Federal Reserve, opens his account for the bank's, the Federal Reserve's account. The balance is zero. He writes a check for $3 trillion. And it's good. You and I can't do that. I don't know anybody that can do that except for the Fed. And it's wrong. It's definitely wrong. It's not. It's a setup down the road for even a bigger collapse, and that's what we're heading towards now. It looks like that anyway, because you keep on putting Band-Aid on a gunshot wound, and eventually that wound is going to get deeper inside and create something that's worse. That's as good of a metaphor as I can think of as far as this situation is concerned. So, the unfortunate thing now is that people are questioning the value of cryptocurrencies and questioning the value of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is the answer to this situation. You know why? Because the government can't screw with it. It is what it is, and it's like digital gold, but it's not going to increase in quantity. Anyway, so I'm just explaining the difference between this collapse of these crypto exchanges. It's not because the crypto is bad or wrong or anything like that. It's because they don't have a Federal Reserve with unlimited, unlimited pockets of money, they can write a check for anything they want. The Federal Reserve created $3 trillion by the click of a mouse. There's something wrong with that. I mean, I've worked my whole life for money. And when somebody can just sit down in front of their computer with a zero balance and write a check for that much money, and it's honored and it's accepted, there's something seriously wrong with that. Anyway, it's a Saturday. I hope you guys are having a good weekend. It's not a good day for flying, actually. There's a lot of weather passing through. There's a front that just passed through. Maybe later it might be okay. I think the sun's supposed to come out later. And at that time, maybe we'll get out to the airport and watch people flying off to their mansions in the Bahamas. Sam Bankman-Fried, he has this $35 million mansion in the Bahamas. You see the irony? I laugh when I think about something like that. What's going on here? Hey. It's funny. I think it's funny. It's tragic too. I'll tell you what, he had $16 billion of people's money, and it's gone. It's gone. I believe a lot of that money was Tom Brady's too, but it's coming out now. There's a BlockFi is another crypto exchange. Apparently, it was connected. I mean, these guys, they're connected or invested in FTX somehow. You see a picture of this guy, Sam Bankman-Fried. He looks almost like a homeless person. Not quite though. I mean, he's clean, and it's just because he's wearing a T-shirt. That's not a fair description of him. But he's got this $35 million mansion in the Bahamas. Do you think that's where he is now? Yeah, I think that's where he is. And do you think he's coming back to face the music? I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe he will. I don't know. Predicting the future is a tricky thing to do, but I would doubt. I mean, because he's looking at jail time. He's looking at jail time. So anyway, I am still a Bitcoin proponent and a maximist. And I after what the government and the banks, did together to the taxpayers in 2008 and 2009, and it looked good for a while. It looked good for like 10 years after that. And then now the cracks are starting to show in the foundation of this so-called solution, which it wasn't. I mean, printing millions of dollars of money out of nothing and just making this paper money appear. And by the way, just for the record, so you know, paper money throughout the history of mankind has always failed 100% of the time. 100%. Keep that in mind. And we're teetering right there, right now, on just like we're groping for a solution. The solution is Bitcoin, a worldwide currency that can't be corrupted by any government. Governments are not good at economic policies. They're terrible at it. But unfettered capitalism, like what we've seen in the last 2 weeks with crypto exchanges, and when you give this guy Sam Bankman-Fried, I'm going to put the a link of a video that shows who he gave the money to. So FTX is the crypto exchange. Alameda Research is just like an investment company, and it's owned by the same guy. The CEO for FTX was Sam Bankman-Fried. The CEO for Alameda Research was Sam Bankman-Fried, but he appointed this girl to take his job responsibilities at Alameda Research. So FTX gave Alameda Research $10 billion, and the girl that is in charge of managing and investing this money, there's a clip of her, and I'm going to put that in the description. And when you listen to her talk, I guarantee you're not going to believe that anybody gave her any $10 billion when you listen to her talk. And if her clip in this video is only about 30 seconds. The video is like 15 minutes of another guy that I follow, but I'm going to put the time point on that video where she starts to talk, and it's only about 1 minute. But listen to her talk, and she is the reason that all this is happening right now, because he gave her $10 billion and said, here it is, now don't do anything stupid. And listen to her talk. it was too much responsibility for this person, and she didn't understand. I'm sure she didn't understand exactly the ramifications or the effects. So anyway, have a great Saturday. I hope you guys find some beauty in the world, and that's what I do every day. I try to find beauty in the world. I try to talk to someone that I can make laugh and smile, and if I can do that on any given day, I consider it a successful day. So I hope you guys have successful days, satisfying, and I hope you don't get too hung up on all the crazy crap that's going on, and enjoy life a little bit. Peace, y'all.